Hi, it's Dan here, and today I'm going to be doing a lesson on string bending. Now, as the title of this video suggests, it is catered more towards beginner guitarists. So if you are a little more advanced, you already know how to bend a string and you're not having any issues, then this video probably isn't for you. Okay, so what we'll do now is zoom in on my left hand to take a closer look at the correct string bending technique. Okay, so I'm here at the 9th fret and I'm going to be using my third finger to demonstrate the bending. So I've taught a lot of beginners over the years, and usually what a guitarist does who doesn't really know how to bend correctly, they will bend like something like this. All right, they'll try and bend with the one finger pushing upwards like that. And if you try this yourself, you'll notice that you have very little control and very little strength behind the bend itself. So here's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to get the other fingers that are behind our third finger here, and we're going to lay them across the same string right next to each other. They're all going to be touching each other. Don't spread them out like this, but touch them all together like that. Okay, so when we end up bending again, all three fingers are actually going to be doing the bending, not just this one. They're all going to be working together as like one complete unit. Okay, so we've put those three fingers together. Next thing we want to do is wrap our thumb over the top. Now, some guitarists out there who do bending don't necessarily wrap their thumb over the top. I do it. I think it works best, so I'm going to show you how to bend with the thumb wrapped over the top. I think it, again, gives you more control and more strength in the bend itself. Okay, so we've put our three fingers together in a line. We've wrapped our thumb over the top. Next thing you want to do, and this is probably something that people don't cover as much when they're teaching bending, but I think it's pretty important, is you don't want your fingers to be pointing at right angles to the fretboard here. Okay, you want to actually angle them down slightly. Okay, again, this comes down to control, strength behind the bend. It all helps. So fingers together, thumb over the top, and angle your fingers down slightly. All right, now we're ready to do the bend. What you actually want to do is you want to lock all your knuckles in place as much as you can. Because we're not going to be using our fingers so much for the bending, but we're going to be twisting at our wrist to do the bend while keeping our fingers pretty much locked in place. There will be a little bit of movement, but most of the bend and the effort behind the bending will be done with the wrist. Okay, so fingers together, thumb over the top, angle down slightly, and then we bend by moving our wrist, okay? And essentially, that is how you get a good controlled bend. Okay, let's take a look now at bending with your other fingers. Starting with our fourth finger here. Essentially, you use exactly the same technique. You may think, oh, well, my little finger here, it's the smallest, weakest finger, it'll make it really hard to bend. But that's not necessarily true. Lay all your fingers down, all the other fingers down behind it, so they're all touching each other. Wrap your thumb over the top, angle slightly down, and bend with the wrist. And as you can see, I'm using the strength not just of this finger, but of all my fingers working together as one complete unit to do the bend, okay? And I'm bending with the wrist like so, okay? Very little movement in the actual fingers themselves. You're trying to lock them in place. Okay? Second finger, same principle applies. Fingers together, thumb over the top, and bend. All right? Now your first finger is probably the trickiest one to bend with because you don't have any other fingers behind it that can help out, okay? But again, lock it in place, thumb over the top, okay? You may angle it slightly more at right angles to the fretboard here, okay? That might be what you do slightly differently, but again, same principle applies. So that's what you do with any finger, not just your third, but all 4 fingers. Finally, let's troubleshoot a problem that often occurs when you first start bending. And that is when you do a bend and the string above that string gets caught over the top of your fingernails. Okay, I see this often with beginner string benders. You get that problem. All right, so you bend up and the string above gets caught above over the top of your fingernails. Now this often occurs particularly when your guitar has a high action. If you don't know what the action is, it's essentially how high your strings are above the fretboard here. Now, as you can see, I have a very low action on this guitar, but particularly if you have, say, an acoustic guitar, or you just have a guitar, electric guitar that has a high action, this problem can be an issue. The best way around it, I think, is going back to that technique where we don't point our fingers straight onto the strings like this, but we angle them down. If you angle them down, there's more chance that the string above will go underneath your finger here, okay, as you can see. When you angle it straight that way and bend up, there is more chance that as you bend, the string will get caught over the top of your fingernails there. So keep that angle down. Keep in mind though that the higher the action is, the higher the strings are, the more chance that this problem is going to occur. And if you have a very, very high action, you may want to think about getting it lowered just a little bit to try and counter this problem. But that's about it. Fingers together, thumb over the top, angle your fingers down and bend or turn from the wrist. And if you practice that, you should be good to go with your bending. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about this lesson, please leave them in the comments below. Also, if you'd like to subscribe and check out my channel, you'll find more lessons, more licks, and more backing tracks to jam along to. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.